Hi guys, it's Hitanjani from Bindaas Bollywood. We have a very exciting and special guest. He's not really a guest, he's one of our own. You would have recognized him all throughout our social media, on stage, in classes. He's one of our teachers. He's my dance partner slash work husband. Mr. Anil Bhoj needs no introduction. Hi Anil, how are you?
How are you?
Virtual hug.
Yeah,
That's the best we can do.
exactly. In these times.
Exactly, I know. But I think we've started our podcast a few weeks ago, so we've had lots of people in the arts industry, studio owners, other cultural thought leaders as well. But I think everyone's been excited to have a team member of ours, and I think you were the first person I wanted to have on our podcast.
Oh, thank
Because I
you.
think
Thank you so much.
you're basically, you are my dance partner, but you help me out in so many ways. And you're such a great part of the team as well. But I mean, I don't usually try to blab too much in these sessions, so it's all about you. So for those people that aren't familiar with your background, I know everyone's seen you on stage and on our socials, on the screen, but can you tell us a little bit to start off, like how your dance journey began, not just in Australia but also in India as well?
Oh yeah. Uh, Dance was, yeah, it was always important. But yeah, so it started in India. So since we were kids, it was always an important part, dance and music, and especially movies. So Bollywood movies, there's a movie released every Friday. So we make it a point to watch most of them. Like we try to cover it. So it's like a race. Which movie are you going for? So we missed one, and then you again watch it. So every Friday there was a first day, first show, first day movie we used to go, and Saturday, Sunday. So these 3 days were like catching up with all the movies, and of course, dance and music was a integral part of the movies. There would be at least 6 to 8 songs in every movie there. So that's how we all get connected to dance. And yeah, it was always very important since childhood.
Yeah, no, it's when did you actually start dancing as a hobby? I mean, I know everyone loves to dance with their friends on the streets in India, at home, at parties, especially weddings are such a one or
Yeah.
2 week process for us. So
Right.
everyone dances for fun. But when did you actually start taking dancing seriously as a
Okay.
as a passion?
Yeah, so that was during Navratri. So we have this a festival called Navratri. It's
Yeah.
from probably from Gujarat, but the whole of India celebrates it in a different, like all different fashion, different ways. In Gujarat, we have special thing like 9 nights. Everybody will go out and dance till Dashera. So it's like all 9 nights we have to be there all night with different dresses, different costumes. So we used to prepare for it mentally and physically and everything for those 9 nights. These were really special. And people take special classes for that as well back home in India. Yeah. So I started by teaching dance,
Oh,
teaching dandiya and garba. It was so much fun. It was just like watching. So we never went through any technical learning process. So I never went to any school as such as in dance. Just
it's
saw
in
people
you.
dancing and
It
yeah.
comes from within, yeah.
Yeah, and of course Navratri was the turning point. And then I used to take classes over there. And after Navratri, people still, like the kids still keep coming, and then they asked, "Well, can we do this Bollywood song instead?" And that's how I started teaching dance in Mumbai, the city where I'm from. It's called Mumbai nowadays, but it used to be Bombay. That's where I was born. So Bombay, the city, it was fun. Yeah, it's like beautiful. It's very metropolitan and a fast-paced city,
Yeah.
but it's full of fun and frolic, and that's where I started teaching dance. But again, yeah, it stopped after a while.
Yeah, no, it's always sad for a dancer when you have to stop dancing for whatever reasons. I mean, we all have different circumstances in life which we have to stop for some time, and then it's just such an amazing feeling when you restart again. So when did you start dancing in Australia? Because I know, just for those of you that don't know, so I met Anil through one of our very good friends, a common friend, Neeta Patel. Those of you that
Yes.
keep an eye on our social, she's an amazing henna artist as well as a good friend.
Yeah.
She's Anil's neighbor as well. You guys live very close to each other. So we've been friends for
Yeah.
years. Anita and her husband used to dance with Bindaas. Anita used to do henna for us as well. Even after having kids, she danced, Amal danced, her husband. And then I think as life goes on, people tend to move on, but it's still very close to our hearts. So Nita actually introduced you to us. So that was and I remember her
Yes.
saying, "Oh, you have to meet Anil. He's a really good dancer. He's so vibrant and smiley." And I think, and that's what people remember about you, Mr. Colgate Smile. That's what we usually hashtag your pictures with. But people remember you because of your smile. But I think that's how we first met through Nita as well. So were
Yes.
you I think you were dancing before even we met. So when around about like when did you start dancing in Melbourne?
Yeah, just that time, because when we moved to Melbourne, to Australia, it was really hard because it was those initial days, so there was a lot of struggle involved. So there was no dancing at all at that time until the family settled. And then actually, we met Nita through kids at the park. So the kids were playing at the park, and Nita's kids were also playing at the park, and that's how we just said hi, hello to each other. And another thing that brought us close was, one was dance and the other was henna. So my wife Nanda also does henna. So I
Yeah.
thought, like, why don't you start? Because Nanda was also just in that same boat. She had a passion for her art, henna art, and so is Nita. Nita is also very much involved in it, and she's also a very good dancer. So she said, "Yeah, why don't you?" So I said, "We just meet up and discuss about henna." And then she said, "But you also dance, yeah?" I said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I do dance." And so they had something on, and they said, like, "Can we choreograph something at her place?" And that's how it started. So that it was just a run of the mill normal Bollywood songs. I was so happy. I said, yeah, 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 let's do it. And it was after so many years. So I was super excited. So I went to her house and she said, wow, you are great. She thought that I was very good at dancing. And she said, enough, you should meet Hitanjali. She's the person you got to meet. And I don't know what she told you, but then, yeah, I came to class and yeah, and we started.
The rest is history. Yeah.
Oh no, I haven't done much, but yeah, whatever I've learned so many things at Bindaas, I can't explain. It has been a beautiful journey.
Likewise for us. And that's something Jimmy and I, my husband and I, always discuss this. I've become a much more graceful and elegant dancer because of you since you've joined. I mean, we've had dancers come in and out. People come, people go, whether it's in dance, whether it's in life. People tend to move on, etc. But some people just stay when they come, like you and like me and like most of our performers and teachers. And I think I've learned from so many teachers, but I think I learned to be very gracious and very graceful because of you. I used to dance like a man. Even Jimmy used to say so all the time. And I've
Very
learned to
good.
just kind of let go and focus on certain techniques and become such a better dancer because of you as well. So I'm very, very thankful for that. And I'm so thankful to Nita for introducing us. But
Yeah.
yeah, speaking of your family, I was going to say you have such a beautiful family. I've had the pleasure of spending so much time with your two kids, your beautiful wife, and mum as well. Like, and you always say, you're surrounded by beautiful women because you're surrounded
Oh,
by
yeah.
females because of your family. But can you tell us also? I mean, because especially for people who struggle with time management, and that's something we all do, but especially being such a family man and having two kids. I mean, one's a teenager, one's under the age of 10. They're such
Yeah.
amazing but vital ages, and plus you've got your beautiful wife and mom, and then you work full time. How do you manage time, and what advice would you give to people who dance in order to manage time with family?
Yeah, time management is like, there is always time, but you got to find it. That's it. I think that, yeah. So we always complain that there is no time, there is no time. But actually, there is time. So all you got to do is just look around, think about it. And yeah, you got to make certain sacrifices, but we are all making sacrifices all the time, anyways. So might as well do it for yourself. So whatever you do, whatever we do for living, for a living, or for the money, or for paying the bills, etc., etc., that is normal, which everyone has to do, and there is no way out. But when it comes to yourself, what is your passion? I think like what you want to do. It's sometimes, most of the time, it's really hard to make your passion as your career. You are one of the lucky people who can do, who have done that.
It's been a
But
long
at the same time,
process.
yeah, but at the same time, you had made so many sacrifices and adjustments, which we can feel, we can see that, and of course, it's not easy. Correct?
No, it's not. It's, there's a lot of sacrificing, and there's a lot of, heartbreaking mistakes, but wonderful moments as well. But then it's all like you learn more from the mistakes and the failures, but it is
Exactly.
a big, you have to compromise, sacrifice, but also you make the time. And that's what
Yeah,
I tell dancers. I mean, even within every dance group, every dance company, you always have the people that say, I don't have time. And you can make time. You can make
exactly,
time.
exactly.
There is time, even 5 minutes or 10 seconds. It's about
Actually,
how
yeah,
you manage it. It's you really do.
I have learned so much time management from you, um, because I always look up to you. Oh my God, how do you do all these things? Because you got a house to run, like you got a husband, you got to cook, you got to do everything, and you're there at all the events. You're there for everybody. Actually, more than that, you're always there as a friend and helping so many people. Oh my God, all the good work you do is we can talk about this
No,
in a
no, no.
different
We're here to
interview.
talk about you, but thank you so much. It's very sweet of you. But I think,
Yeah,
we all work together as a team. Like, for example, just in a nutshell, my dance journey, like I worked in the dance health industry for so long. I went from working 15, 18-hour days, more than full time, and I cut down to part time, and then I cut down to casual. But then I did
yeah,
that over a number of years. I couldn't just go from full time dance and wake up one day and say, Mom and Dad, I'm going to be a dancer, because, we get a big whoop ass in our culture if you go home and tell your
yeah,
parents, Mommy, Daddy, I want to be a dancer. It doesn't work like that. So I had to fulfill things, the cultural expectations, my parents' expectations as well. But that comes with our cultural stigma as well. We owe that to our parents because they've sacrificed so much as well. But then somewhere along the lines, you need to focus on yourself and find a balance for yourself. And I think, what I tell all of our performers, teachers, students is you need to manage your time. Like, no one, it's easy to say, I don't have time. It's very easy. But then, we see people like you and, for example, Nita and, other people in our dance company, like people like Sachin and even Pooja, like when you have children, and, Beulah was a great example as well. Like, when you have
yeah,
children, that they're your entire world, your time gets consumed. The hours go like that,
yeah,
especially when you're
exactly.
working. Like, I'll use Beulah as an example. She was working, she was studying, she has a household to run, she had a kid, but she still made it to 3 PT, personal training sessions, gym sessions, belly dance, Bollywood,
Yeah,
everything. She was a professional singer. I learn a lot from people like that, and especially people like you who have kids. How you guys manage the time is so vital, and you give equal attention. It's like, say for example, having 5 wives. You need to give the equal love
exactly.
and the equal attention, and you guys do that so beautifully. So that's something I always recommend to all of our students. I always tell my students, like, look at our male teachers, like, all of them have families, all of them divide their time, regardless of whether parents are ill or children are ill, they still
Yeah,
manage to do something for themselves
yeah,
to keep balance, and that way you can care for others if you're okay as well. And that's something amazing that I've
exactly.
learned from you guys, so thank you
Yeah.
so much for that. Yeah, but no,
But I would like to add, yeah, I would just like to add that you can't do it without your family's support. Like say for Jimmy, for example, Jimmy, oh my God, he's an amazing person. And he also does the same what you do. So you got to do it together. Same with Nanda, my wife. She's always there no matter what. So
she
there are lots of times when this happens. As the closest example was, we were at an event, and my daughter she had to go to the hospital, and Nanda took her to the hospital, and it was really hard for me to like pull out from the middle of the thing. So we did that. You remember that
I
event?
cannot, I like, I'm still, my head just,
No, that's fine.
I
No,
would
it's
love to
okay. So
swear at
this
the
is what.
screen again, like I swore at you that day. I cannot believe you did that. You never turn up to a gig when your family needs you. No,
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 no.
no, no, no.
I was
But
already
you
there,
did.
and then
Yeah,
it happened. So it wasn't anyone's fault.
yeah,
It was just hard to pull out from there at that minute,
yeah,
and it was just a matter of 1 hour or so. We thought, and then, but anyway. So this is what the whole point is. Not without the partner's support. So if your partner
exactly.
supports you, only then it's possible. Otherwise, it's very hard.
Yeah,
So, for example, that day, if I didn't have my wife ready there, she doesn't even drive, so she took a taxi and she went to the hospital and did that. So without her support, it's going to be like literally impossible. And of course, we got a blessing, like we got my mom with us,
yeah,
which helps a lot. So mom's always there for the kids. Nanda's there, so they take half of my burden
yeah,
all the time, and that's how they say, okay, fine, you go and dance because
yeah.
you've struggled a lot, and this is what makes you happy. Say yes, that's what makes me happy everywhere.
Exactly. No,
When I'm dancing, I just forget everything. I don't know why.
yeah, no, that's how it is, and you said it perfectly. Nanda and Auntie, like your mum, is they're so supportive. They're always so full of love, and I think it makes them happy knowing how happy you are when you dance as well. And I've literally seen, I think I've heard your older daughter saying that, like how happy dancing makes you, and it shows on your face when you speak to people. Those moments on stage are so fleeting. You know, we work so hard for a few minutes for a performance, but those moments and everything that we sacrifice, it's completely worth it. And it wouldn't happen
Exactly.
if you don't have the correct support network, and you have that, and it's such a beautiful thing. So it's really, really fantastic. Speaking of family, like you have such a very interesting family. Namda's multi-talented, as you said before. She does the henna artwork as well, and your daughter's training to become a pilot as well.
Yay.
Yes. That's fantastic. So she's going to be flying. So our first private plane when the COVID quarantine lifts and
Yes.
all of us artists are not struggling artists anymore. Mitilai Bhoj will be our pilot on our private
Yeah, we're
plane.
gonna just rent a plane and just fly wherever they'll
Exactly.
allow us to fly. Yeah. So
No.
yeah, the kids are also multi-talented. She used to dance with me all the time. That's
Yes,
how actually,
Sharina.
yeah. One of my choreographies, Prem Ratan, is actually inspired by Anilai, the little one.
Oh,
She
wow.
used to do that step. Yeah, correct. Tak, tak,
Yes.
tak, tak. Yeah, she saw it on TV and she kept on doing this, and I said like, oh wow, let's try this. And then I started with her actually, and that's how I got into this choreography. And it looked very pretty. So I've got videos of when she was like very little and trying to do all that, and we all danced together. And once the choreography was done, me, Anilai, and Mithilai, all three were dancing together while Nanda was shooting it. So it's like a
Fantastic.
family thing,
Yeah.
everyone's happy, and without them, it's very hard. It's very, very
Yeah.
difficult.
No, it's
Without
a
family support, it's going to be very hard.
exactly, and it's amazing that what that good support network can do to keep you grounded as well. And I think when you have that amazing support network that keeps you grounded, it really puts your focus in a certain way. Like for example, like I know that there's so many wrong reasons why people dance.
Mhm.
Like for example, like I'll give you a very common example, and this must be very common in India as well, but I found it happens in a lot in Bollywood groups. Not so much in full-time dance school, because when you go to full-time dance school here, you have to make a lot of sacrifices. It's like 20, 30 grand a year. It's very expensive. So if
Yeah.
you go to full-time dance school here, it's because you have that passion, that's what you want to do as a career. But I find like things like Bollywood, I know we usually sometimes get people coming in to check out the girls, and you always get
Yeah.
people dancing for the wrong, no, I wouldn't say the wrong reasons, but they're not there because it's what they're passionate about, and
Yeah.
it's not because they absolutely love, breathe, live, and dance for dance, so
Yeah. Yeah.
that's something that I love about all our team members, especially you. And when you teach, you make sure all the students are aware of that. You always dance for the right reasons. And that's something I know I've heard you say that to all our students before, dance with your heart, dance with your passion. I mean, it's such a common phrase in the Bollywood dance movies now. Dance to express, not impress.
Yes.
Varun Dhawan and Prabhudeva always says that in all the movies. So no, it's such a great thing. But I actually wanted to ask you. So speaking of different things in dance, I'm a big believer. I know you and I have spoken about this. It's something a lot of our team members speak about, but I always have the vision that artists shouldn't be restricted, um, because you need to expand. You need to be constantly learning and evolving and nurturing your passion. So I know, for example, like I always encourage all of the performers, all the students, and all of you guys as teachers to go out there, learn different techniques, learn different styles. Like I know there's a lot of dance companies here, especially Bollywood groups. You have to sign a contract and you're restricted to
Yes.
that one group. And I mean, that's, each to their own, that's their decision. But I'm a big believer that you shouldn't restrict artists, because you're restricting their talent, you're restricting them from growing. But I was going to say, ask you actually, in line with that, like I know you do a lot of other work in terms of dancing. You do a lot of dancing for the community, your own community, the Gujarati community, and you teach at a lot of other different places. Can you tell our audience where else what you teach and what other things you do for dance, apart from dancing with Bindaas?
Oh yeah, Bindaas is my home. But yeah, apart from that, yeah, I've been dancing a lot because this is what happens when you're dancing at an event. People just come to you and take your numbers and ask you like, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you teach us separately or something like that? So as far as possible, we say like, yeah, this we are a group, we are a family, Bindaas family. But then sometimes it's a different community they want to cater to, and for example, some certain community council people want us to teach. So I used to teach one for the West. It was a group of ladies who are got some issues. So it's a basically Indian ladies group of it is run by an advocate. She's a lovely lady, Rita. So that's where I used to teach dance. So all the ladies weren't very happy. That's why Rita thought that. So she saw me at an event and said, "You look very happy on stage. What is the secret?" I
What are
said,
you
"There is no
taking?
secret. There's no secret. I just dance from my heart. So whenever I'm on stage, it just makes me very happy and I express it. Dance is nothing but self-expression, and that's what I do. I just don't. So I make so many mistakes that in choreography and stuff on stage as well. But again, at the end of the day, if you're happy, everything covers up. It's all good. Yeah, just keep smiling and keep dancing. Don't stop. So the lady asked me, and then I said, yeah, I can come over. And then she was very happy. I gave a trial run, and she said, yeah, all the ladies looked happier than they were, and that's what the secret is. I said, yes, that is. Just keep dancing. So that's how we started this group, and yes, we are still in touch. We still do a lot of dancing together. We did a few events as well, and after that, there's other groups who have been asking for. So that's one thing which I really appreciate about you, that you don't lock people with you. Yeah, that
Yeah,
is such a big thing. You don't realize actually it is a very very big, because like blocking somebody, it's really bad, and especially an artist. So you are just kind of tying the artist with yourself, and you can't look around. You can't even show your dances to anybody or something like that unless it's a public event. So a few groups, I don't want to name them, but they do that, and that's why I stay away from those groups. But generally, whenever somebody asks me, and of course they all know I'm from Bindaas Bollywood, and they say, how come you do this dance outside? I say, yeah, Hitanjani doesn't block anybody. She doesn't tie up anyone.
it
She just says freedom.
doesn't
Yeah.
feel natural to restrict people, especially artists. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so that's what. And then they say, okay, fine, so can you do it for us? Like, can you dance with us or choreograph, teach? I say, yeah, yeah. So that's how I'm into a few groups here. So there's a Gujarati Samaj group which I choreograph and dance for, perform as well. Then there's another group called Rhythmika. It's run by Ishita Mandal.
Yes.
She's a beautiful Uriya dancer. So it's a traditional dance from the northeast. So we do a lot of events for them, doing classical, not only Bollywood but more folk based. So I think, yeah, folk is also one thing that I wanted to talk about. That folk is also a beautiful style of dancing. It's very natural. It's very ethnic and beautiful. It looks very nice, and you don't have to. And it's not as complex as well. It's very varied, so it doesn't have any norms. It is very open. So that's where I do my lot of folk dancing. There's a Bengali group. It's called Victoria some BAV. Yeah. So it's called Bengal Association of Victoria. So I do a lot of dances and performances for them. We
Yeah.
also teach there, and yeah, Navratri is there. It's always happening everywhere.
No, it's great. No, I'm so proud of you for, like, everything that you've achieved from dancing. And it's really great that other groups get to experience the same thing that we get to experience by having you teach and perform with us. It's that should be shared. That love needs to be shared. Otherwise, how do we teach the younger generation? How do we
Yeah.
teach them about the culture if experts like you, for example, like you specialize so much in folk, especially garba, dandiya as well. And how do you teach that generation if you're constantly just restricted to, I mean, that's how wars begin.
Yeah, it's not just confined to our Indian, Sri Lankan, Pakistan, Bangladesh.
Yeah.
Not only that, so I just talked to a group from Burma. That was so interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a Burmese group, and they have their association in Sunshine, and yeah, they're beautiful people. Yeah, it was very nice, and they don't speak our language, but they know Bollywood. Yeah, so they know what it is about. But so whenever I go and teach them, they are like so excited to see me. They say, "Yay, let's do it!" And I think Bollywood is just universal now. It's not confined to one place. Everybody loves it, everybody knows it, and everybody wants to learn it. And of course, dance.
Exactly. No, I think, and it's such a vibrant style of dancing. It just makes you so happy as well. People feel automatically energized and invigorated. Yeah. No, it's great.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I've learned to do charity from you as well. Even like, yeah, you do so many charity events, which is such a great, like, we salute you for that. So yeah, try to do that. So you got to tell something us about something to us.
No, I mean, you have to do it, right? I mean, seva is such a big part of our culture. Like seva meaning, so sorry for those of you that are not familiar with the word, it basically means service. And that's something in our culture. When I say our culture, I mean all across, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Maldives, like all of Southeast Asia. I mean, humanity in general, it should be part of the
Yeah.
culture. And it's basically doing your service to humanity, whether it's for local charity, for national, for global. Like, you help in any way that I can. Like, because of this COVID situation, I became 95% unemployed overnight, but we're still fundraising. You know, even if you can
Oh
give
yeah.
10 cents or your coffee money to someone somewhere. And I think the worst thing for me with the COVID situation, and having so many of our events and classes not happening. We've only got a couple of classes running online and some private classes. The worst thing is, a lot of our classes and events we raise money for certain charities and organizations. And because all that's been restricted, all events are restricted, the people who are on the receiving end of that money, they're not getting those funds anymore from us. And, there's certain organizations that we support regularly, but that's okay. That's another completely different podcast, but hopefully things will clear up soon.
They
I,
will. They will.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
Sorry.
mean, we're all in this together. Yeah. So hopefully it will clear up soon. But I actually wanted to ask you something very important. And I know this has come up in interviews before when, you've been interviewed by pretty much every news channel. And one of the most recent interviews that we did, I think it was with Dr. Vikrant, this topic came up, or I kind of pushed it to be brought up on purpose as well.
Yes.
There's still a lot of stigma regarding male dancers in the industry, not just throughout India, but just globally. Globally, it is getting better, but I think the stigma's getting better in backgrounds that we're from, but it's still there.
Yeah.
How has that affected you as a male dancer? I mean, you're so widely known in the community now.
Oh yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah. As a male dancer, especially dance for a male who wants to dance, people look at, well, they might show something else, but then at the back of their mind, they always think that why is this man dancing? It doesn't he have anything better to do in life or something like that? So I don't know why they think this, but is it just a maybe it's just a mindset, and they've got this block in their minds that dance is for women or females. But if you go into mythology, Indian mythology, or even Shankar, Shiva used to dance when he was angry. There's other, yeah, it's called the Tanda. We just choreographed one
Yeah.
Tanda. So Tanda is one dance which is the dance of the death. Initially it was, but then later on it got evolved, and it's a form of dance now. Even Bharatanatyam and all these basic forms of traditional dancing in India, uh, people think that they are only for the women, but that is not 100% true. People just think that way because women can do it uh, easier, or I don't know if they're talking about the body structure or what, but then uh, there's nothing like that. So it's just a mindset. So men have, it's very hard for a man to go and say, okay, fine, I dance for a living or for my as a passion or as a time pass or as a hobby. So the next question which comes up is, why do you dance? Why do you? I dance because I like it. But no, aren't you not supposed to dance? Or isn't it something that women do? And also society, there is, there are most of them are double, what do you call it,
Double
two-faced. So
standard.
it's not double standards. Yes, exactly, that's what I was looking for. So double standards, because they might say one thing but they mean other, so otherwise. So that's what the whole problem is. They will say a lot of things to you, but then at the back of they don't like men dancing, especially classical Bollywood. Say if my style is classical Bollywood and I'm doing this, so what? So the normal questions they ask is, why don't you do hip hop?
Yeah.
So hip hop is a beautiful form of dance which I love too, but I like doing classical and not hip hop. So they can't adjust this. They cannot digest this part, that why does a man want to do that, unless you belong to a certain type of a group in the community, like say LGBT or something. So basically they will tag you, and of course there's so much homophobia going around as well. So even if that would be true, people won't be happy with that either. So
Yeah.
their next question is, okay, fine, but why this, but why that, but why that? So it's always going to be there, but it was really hard. So any male who wants to do it has to make his own style first of all, and in that people will have an objection. Literally they have an objection which they shouldn't be having, but they will ask you stupid silly questions, and they will just make your moral little bit, what do you say, demotivate you, and
Yeah.
try to pull you down. uh, Good question, but I don't have the full answer to it. It's just the
No,
society, the way it
no,
is.
it's hard. I don't think anyone has the full answers to that one, and I think it's one of those topics. I was interviewing Elvic the other day, and even being brought up in Australia, and he does everything contemporary hip hop, but even him and I got talking. And I mean, Elvic, you've met so many times at our Maya concerts. He's such a
Yeah.
beautiful dancer. And it's
Oh,
the same, regardless of what genre of dance it is. It's not just in Bollywood. And it's fantastic to see male dancers really putting themselves out there, not being afraid of their talent. You know, people like you and people like Kumar, who does like Kathak,
oh yeah.
he's just
Okay.
such a beautiful dancer. There's so many
Amazing.
dancers nowadays. And I think that's why social media is great, because we grew up in a generation where, I mean, email hadn't kicked in until I was like 18, 19. So it's kids are growing up in a different generation now where they can learn and observe more. So it is getting a bit more tolerant, but I think it's just some of the older generations, and depending on what background you're from as well, especially not just culturally, your personal family background and their thoughts and their mentality will shape what people think. Because it's exactly like what you said. When you're a dancer, people most of the time assume if you're a male dancer, you're going to be doing hip hop or b-boying or whacking or something
Yes,
very,
well,
yes, in those genres. But no, it's, I think you set such a beautiful example. And I've seen the way you interact with all of the little kids, the male students, like for example, like
I
Nabil,
love them.
Nazir, Sagar, and Srihari. Like you give
Yes,
them so much advice, and I know as soon as you see them at a performance, you put so much jewelry on them, and you make, they love it because they love having another male dance teacher, you know, giving them lots of bling and like
yes,
just by doing such a simple act, like you're letting them know it's okay to wear lots of shiny glitter on stage and just be fabulous and show your talent. You
exactly.
don't need to be all thug life and all that shit, like just to be on stage. So I think they absolutely love it. And you can see that it makes their parents really happy as well. Like, I mean, we're all about breaking barriers anyway at Bindaas. We
Yeah,
stand by
exactly.
the
So they
name.
want, yeah, the society wants you like to show a stereotypical masculinity. What for? I don't know. But they want you to be like look certain way, dress in a certain way, or act in a certain way,
Yeah,
and in our case, dance in a certain way, which I don't agree to. That's why I've just broken all the barriers and I'm doing what I want to do and not what they or the the society wants us to do. And I think it will change. It is changing very slowly, I believe. Yeah,
slowly.
it
Yeah,
was really difficult for when I was in my teens. It was a big no. If you want to dance, no way. Okay, fine, dance can be a hobby, but what do you do for a living? No, you got to do something. So you got to study engineering, medicine,
yeah.
law, or you do your IT or whatever. So I had to compete for engineering, do whatever they wanted to, because it was really hard to go against the flow. So you have to go with the flow, and when the whole flow is going, that one fish which goes off the flow is just back into the ocean. But yeah, I have tried. So then that's why I came, and thank you so much for boosting my confidence every time. Oh, every single time and there has been times when I was like, I feel like, oh my god, what is this happening, this is not what I wanted. And I've told you as well, we've discussed, and you always say, nah, don't worry about people, just go ahead with it. And oh, you are amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so
People
much.
will be people. I mean, look, everyone gets judged, especially when you're in the spotlight. You know, we dance in front of thousands of people sometimes, and you
Yeah,
know, it's all like everyone's got their phones, or either everyone's, and then you know, people will go home and look at it and they'll be like, oh, look at this girl, look at that guy, blah blah blah. But look, there's always going to be judgment, and that comes with just people being people. Like it is what it is. You can't change their, they're just not at the same mindset at us as us because of their life experiences. But hopefully they will people will learn to be more open and tolerant as well. And you know, we can all get on with what we love doing. That's the main thing. Yeah. But I actually wanted to ask you, I'm going to jump back to another topic because we spoke about your family. But as a parent, and because we teach so many kids in our dance company and you do on your own as well as a independent artist, um, as a parent, what advice would you give to other parents who have children that love to dance?
oh, it's really very, thank you for asking this question. I really appreciate this. I as a parent would say that to other parents, just let your child dance. Let them do what they want to do. At least give them a chance and see how it goes. Unless you mold them, like, of course you want them to do certain things, which is fine. But at the same time, if the child wants to pursue this as as a hobby, or do something more than that, so I would say just give them a chance. Give them a chance. Let them lose. There is no point in holding them back, because if you hold them back, you're just blocking someone's energy. And why? And blocking any energy is not good. It is going to explode one day. So might as well just let them loose. Talk to them, and if they really want to do it, people like you are there. There are lots of people there they can talk to. If they're not comfortable with the female, they can go to a male teacher and talk to them. Of course, in Australia, everything is so safe and nice. So why not just go and talk to someone and discuss your options and start as a hobby, maybe, just once in a while, keep dancing or go to a weekly class like ours. There's heaps of them. But yeah, parents should not hold their kids back. Parents should just let them loose, let them do what they want to do. Of course, they've got their limitations within limits, but yeah, safety is safety first. After that, they have to let go.
No, I mean, I particularly wanted to ask you that because you're a parent, because you have, like I said before, you have two kids, one's almost 18, one's what, 7 now? So they're at
Yeah,
very different and vital ages where they're
yeah.
developing, especially your youngest one. She's at the age when just the cognitive development is so rapid, and also they're absorbing so many different things.
Oh, they're like
And
sponges.
it's the best age to learn. The reason I asked you to answer that is because, even in this day and age, and it goes back to the previous question, you still see a lot of judgment.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like I'll overhear relatives of parents who've come to our class to watch, and their kid really wants to get up and dance, but they're like, no, beta, you should do sports or something, like you should,
Oh,
or like, oh my God, you see it all. I mean, not that I'm very grateful that pretty much everyone enrolled in our dance classes, the parents of those children, they're so lovely, and they really encourage their kids, and they trust all of us as teachers to look
yeah.
after their kids, to nurture them in and out of the studio as well, like extended family. But then, no, I did particularly want to ask you that because there's still a lot of that congestion in the mindset of our culture where
Yeah.
parents will not, they'll be very dismissive to something a child says if they want to be doing something creative, instead of
Yeah.
building a Lego, they probably want to pick up a paintbrush, and
Yeah.
just very, very simple things. And I think as someone who worked as a children's behavior therapist as well, I I don't know if I overanalyze it, but it really frustrates me when I see it happening.
Yeah.
But no,
So
it's hopefully
I think it is.
teachers like
Yeah.
to pave the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That they have been, probably they've experienced something in their past, and they are scared that something might happen because people will judge you, as you said. People will judge your child, and then your child might feel bad. But believe me, children are very strong. Children are very yeah, they're independent and they are strong. And if you just don't worry about other people, children can take care of themselves.
yeah.
Lately, like nowadays, how our kids are, like, all the
I know they're
Brantford
very
and oh my
resilient.
god.
They're very, very resilient. Like I think, and sometimes they learn so much, not just from their home environment, but when, when they're at school and when they're at dance school. Like I see a lot of our students, I kid you not, some of them will turn up, even if they're injured or if they've had a
Yeah.
flu shot. And I'll ask them, why didn't you stay home and rest? And sometimes they say to me, well, you're not resting. So,
You
I
will
mean,
do that.
we don't always set the best examples because I know sometimes, unless we're contagious, we make sure we turn up no matter how much of a shit day we've had. Like, and there's been times I think, especially for regular teachers, like I know personally by speaking to, like, for example, you, Chelsea, as well, like when we've had the worst days in our lives, we will still walk into that studio because we need to keep
Yeah,
ourselves sane, but we also have a responsibility to our students as well because
exactly.
they depend on us. So, and that's something that I love, and I'm so grateful to all of you teachers, like you, Chelsea, Shweta, Sachin, Anil, even like ex-teachers like Sahara and Beulah, like everyone.
Oh
You
yeah.
guys do such a fantastic job. It's a great team, really, really great team. I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
nobody.
we're actually running out of time because
Oh yeah.
you and I have a
Oh
class
yeah.
to teach in literally 30 minutes, so I have to get the Bollywood Joker face off in order to do that. But I actually wanted to ask you um, one last question,
Yeah.
and but you can add whatever you like. It's really up to you. What advice would you give to someone who's never ever danced but they want to try? because I know that
Oh,
sometimes I ask some of my friends to dance or try a class for free, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know how to dance," or "I don't know how to do Bollywood." And I usually say to them, "Well, that's our job. You don't need to know that. That will teach you." And people always say they have two left feet. What advice would you give to just anyone of any gender or background if they want to?
oh. Like if someone wants to swim, I would say like there's water, just jump. But then, yeah, in Bollywood, that's what like for dancing, do not think, just get up and start dancing. Get up and meet somebody, talk to someone, go to a class, or if not, nowadays online, internet is like full of, go to YouTube and just see what suits you and start dancing. There is no other time than now, so just do it now. That's what. Do not wait for the next moment, the next day. There is no tomorrow coming. It's always today, now. I would say just start dancing now. If you need help, call us anytime. Call me, call anyone. But yeah, but don't wait. Do not wait. And there is nothing like, this is not for me, this is not for this type, or let's say body type or style, or everybody can dance. I believe, yeah, as they say, everybody ABCD, everybody can dance, which is
Yeah,
great. But they shouldn't be waiting. They should just start any, wherever they are.
no,
And
that's
online is the best thing to do nowadays.
exactly, yeah. And I think it's also a safe way, I think for people that are watching, if you've ever wanted to try an online class, whether it's a group class or you can do
Yeah,
private classes with any of our teachers, including Anil, you don't necessarily have to have your camera on if that makes you conscious, or if you don't want to see
yeah,
other people stuff them, you can just keep them all off. But I mean, we like to have the camera on the other side, so that way we can give feedback to our students, just to make sure they don't crash into the wall and hit their head and die or anything. So just so they're being safe. But no, it's always good. Just have a go, and I think that's just the basic message of life. Like really should. There's no right time. You either
yeah,
do or you
exactly.
don't, and if you don't, you'll never know. I think one of the best things I remember you saying was to a routine that you've done recently. I'm so sorry, I forgot the name of the actual routine, but it's very beautiful. It's with the matkas. For those of you that don't know what a matka is, it's the actual pot. I don't have one lying around. I think Anil, you've got all of them. It's the pot
Yeah,
that
I've got a what.
traditionally women used to carry water in it. They still do in villages, but we
Yes,
use the metal one, so they're shaped like that very beautifully, like almost like a
yes,
woman's figure. Yeah. So Anil created a beautiful choreography recently where it's done as a communal or in a group where you're dancing and suddenly just gonna grab my NutriBullet, my smoothie. So you throw the pot, but as you throw it in 1 second and you turn around and you catch the one
the other
you're
one.
meant to be receiving. So you're in a circle, you throw that way, but you catch from this way. And Anil explained it so beautifully. And he said, it's like in life, you need to let go before you can receive. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things. And I remember when you said that, Nikita, one of our amazing teachers, her and I just stopped and we just looked at each other and we're like, oh my god, like you said it so beautifully and very concisely, and it was just,
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful thing. I mean, you try to always, and I think what I appreciate about your teaching is whenever you're teaching, you'll draw an analogy and you'll relate it to everyday life. That way people leave that class feeling happy, and they question. And it's, as a human being, you need to ask questions, otherwise you never
Yeah,
progress,
exactly.
you never develop and you never grow. And people leave all of your classes thinking, hey, that smiley guy said this, and it's fantastic because you not only teach people to dance, you give them little life lessons as well in every routine. So
Oh,
very, very
thank you.
grateful for that. But
Thanks. I didn't know this.
no, I think that's one of the most recent routines that you did, and it stuck in everyone's mind, so it was great. Um, but in case you're wanting to contact Anil, we'll put all of his social media details underneath as well, and you can always get in touch, and we'll pass on his details to
Sure,
you as well. But make sure you
sure.
do get in touch if you want private classes, especially for folk, for semi-classical. Garba Dandiya season's coming up, so prepare. That way we can all party together when quarantine lifts up. But Anil, thank you so much for taking the time out from your family and your
Thank
evening. I
you.
know you've been working all day, and we have to work in another half an hour for Marathon
Yes.
Fitness Online. So I will see you very soon. Thank you so
Sure,
much.
sure.
Take
Thank you.
care.
One last thing I would say is just keep smiling, be yourself, and don't restrict yourself. Yeah, keep smiling. Just be happy. Express yourself. And best thing is to love yourself. If you love yourself, you're going to do it. So just keep loving yourself and say, I love you to yourself first. When you love yourself, only then you can love others.
Exactly. Very well said, and beautiful way to finish. Thank you so much, Anil. I will see you in a few minutes for the other class.
Sure,
Thank you.
sure. Thank you. Bye.